Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's take a look at this screen. We got a tough decision for Josh Heupel and the Vols. They've got a 5-star and a 4-star for 2025 class, and I think they both want to come play for the Vols. And it's going to be difficult because I don't believe we're going to be able to take both of them. We're also going to talk about the game times at the end of this. We're going to talk about how the Vols got creaked on the early game times. And last year we got fortunate with some game times, and this year not so much. We'll discuss that. But let's get into this 4-star and this 5-star that are very interested in being Vols. And we're going to cover this about Deuce Knight. This is on Fan Nation, Volunteer Country by Evan Crowell. It says Deuce Knight is planning on visiting the Vols. It's actually this weekend, and the visit is big for both parties. That's true. Said he had just confirmed that he will be there this weekend. Said he also plans on visiting Georgia, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, and TCU. He's already scheduled an unofficial visit with the LSU Tigers for June 7th, but his stop at Tennessee could be his most important summer visit. I completely agree with that. It talks about how Tennessee is exhausting its options in the 2025 quarterback class. George McIntyre is a 5-star out of the state of Tennessee, and they have been the Vols' #1 target for quite a while. But Knight's recent progression, and Knight is like 6'4" now, and he's a very good quarterback, and I think he's going to keep going up the ranks. And here's what's important. He said, I would say they are the leader right now, meaning the Vols. He said, I just love the offense. I have been liking Tennessee. So when a player tells you that, and it makes perfect sense that he would love that offense, this guy looks like a Hendon Hooker 2.0. George McIntyre looks like a Nico type of player. So they're both outstanding, but I think the Vols would prefer George McIntyre, but he may turn around 2 years from now and say, man, we should have taken Deuce Knight. It's not easy, and they're talking about a timetable and how they're going to figure this out. And here it says the Vols may decide this weekend what their timetable is for the two signal callers. And it says if they're content with both, they may decide to give them the option to take the spot, and whoever claims it first gets it. Whatever the coaching staff decides, it begins this weekend with Knight. They've been recruiting him also for a long time, and he's returned their interest. He said at certain points something has to give. I completely agree with the writer on that. And I've shown you a bunch of highlights of George McIntyre, and I mean, he's outstanding. He's as good as you could ever want out of a high school player. He's got it all. But Deuce Knight looks really good too. I'll show you why I think the Vols are so interested in him. And realize he's a sophomore. All right, now watch this play right here. This is going to remind you of Hendon Hooker so much. Right here, evades, and then boom, burns you for a touchdown. I mean, that's Double H if there ever was one. Now you'll see this little move. That's, again, that nice across the field pass that Hendon likes to do. And this is so Hendon, it's ridiculous right here. Look at that speed. Look at that quickness, and he will hurt you quick. So that's why the Vols love this kid. But it's an embarrassment of riches. You've got George McIntyre over here, 5-star, can do many of the same things. He's not as quick, but he's got a little better arm. And then you've got this fellow that's a Hendon Hooker 2.0. What do you do? So something's got to give. Rubber's going to have to meet the road, kind of similar to the schedule situation we've got with the SEC, 8 games or 9. Which one are we going to do? Are we going to do the one permanent opponent, 7 games, flip-flopping it each year? Or are we going to do the 3 and the 6, 3 permanent opponents, and play 6 and 6 every other year? I don't know. I think the biggest thing they're probably going to do is just go with the 1-year deal and keep it at 8 and then make ESPN pay for that 9th game. But anyway, as far as Deuce is concerned and George McIntyre, well, I personally would prefer George McIntyre. I would not be disappointed in the slightest with this young man. Deuce Knight is a player, and he could be really good. And again, George is out of Tennessee, and you see his player ranking. He's number 13 in the country, and he's almost got a perfect composite rating. And then you got Deuce Knight, who is a 4-star, but he's a rising 4-star. He's 133 in the country, number 7 quarterback. So George is like the number 2 quarterback, and Deuce is the number 7. So not an easy decision for Coach Heupel, but I think we'll just leave it in his very capable hands. But I'm going to be watching closely because this is very important. Who we get in 2025 is going to be critical because that's such an enviable class. Because Nico will probably have one more year left when that class shows up, and then he'll probably go off to the NFL because then he'll have, used up 3 years and he can go on. I highly doubt he'll stay 4. I think he's going to be that good. And, of course, we do have Jake Merklinger, who is a very high 4-star that's coming in the 24 class. So we're in good shape at quarterback long term. And as long as Josh Heupel's there, we're going to be quarterback U. So we'll just see what happens, but I'm super interested in this one. And here's an article by Zach Reagan, one of my favorite writers out there, journalists, on A to Z Sports. Says Tennessee Vols receive raw deal with latest college football. I agree. I am not happy with these start times. Last year we got a break. We had LSU at 11 a.m., and that was not good for Louisiana folks. They don't like 11 a.m. Central Time. They're not even squared away yet. They like 3 or 6 or whatever. They want to play much later. That way their crowd can get all fortified. But now we're getting the raw deal. We did catch a break on that one last year, but this coming year, not so much. First of all, the kickoff's going to be an 11 a.m. Central Standard Time at Nashville to play Virginia. So I don't understand why that's not a 3 o'clock game. Then we go to Gainesville and how it's not a 12 I'm glad it's not a 12 o'clock game, even though that would be ideal for us. A 3 o'clock game you would have expected. We're going to play at 7 p.m. And, man, I'm telling you, those Florida fans, they are going to be so fired up, and they're going to be right. I promise you, they will be as fortified as they can be.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
No. Oh, no, sir. Oh.
Exactly. They're going to get into Grandpa's cough medicine. They're going to be screaming their heads off. I've been there. I know how it is. That is a rough place to play, the Swamp. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year. But the first 2 big games, Virginia and Florida, I don't like the times. Now, the times shouldn't make that big a difference in Nashville. We should beat Virginia. But it's going to make a difference in Florida. That's a benefit to Florida. There's no doubt. All right, folks, I just wanted to cover these 2 issues, this big tough decision that Josh Heupel's going to have to make, and I guess these 2 guys are going to have to make, and then talk about the game times a little bit. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know to continue to cover the Vols, the SEC, and all this other stuff. And if you have not subscribed, it's right here on your right, my left. Just boomps, all you got to do. It's that easy. Cost you nothing, helps me out. Right over here's my most recent video. Be sure to check that one out, and we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. Oh, and by the way, I did a short that I just started doing some shorts, and I'll put this one right above the other one. If you want to see it, it's about battered Vol syndrome, and it'll tell you if you have it or not.